The 2025 Toyota Crown Signia. This is one of two Crowns currently available in the United States. This was designed and developed in Japan, and they don't plan on bringing a lot here. 15,000 the first year and maybe 18,000 the second model year. So this isn't some mass-produced car. You might wonder why they would make something like this when you have all the Lexus products in this country. And the mindset is most of the world doesn't have all the Lexus vehicles we do, so it's trying to bridge the gap between that luxury product and the Toyota commodity version. This is the replacement for the Venza, or if you're in another country, that would be the Harrier. Although this is definitely a bit more quality feeling than the outgoing Venza, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second. There's two trim levels right now, XLE and Limited, and the price spread's like $3,000 apart. It's just basically bigger wheels and tires and a moonroof. The outside styling is definitely more on the luxury look. It's going to appeal to probably a more older audience. It's not a shouty car. It looks very sleek, cohesively designed, more along the lines of what you've seen with some of their other recent newer products. The hatchback area, the back is amazing. I'm going to say that right up front. When you get the XLE, it has so much interior volume with the hatch up where you can store stuff. It looks a lot bigger inside than the proportions on the outside, so this is a well-packaged vehicle. Now, when we're talking about bridging the gap between a Lexus and a Toyota product, the things that they do great here and why I would almost recommend it over a lot of the newer Lexus products is you have physical door pulls, door handles. There's no electric switch where you push a button that's electromechanically actuated to open a door. All the knobs, buttons, and switches are all physical here. The auto bright button, the steering wheel controls are clicky. There's no touch sensitive or haptic stuff through a HUD. And the HVAC controls are 95% in the physical realm. You almost never have to interact with the touchscreen. And because it has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, once you have that projected, you put your phone in the storage here, and basically you don't have to interact with the screen much, if at all. And that's the beauty of it. You have a physical volume button here and kind of that power off mute button. I think they really found a balance between throwing at you the old school analog features that people are dying for in this modern era without gouging you in price. The seats are definitely one of the best Toyota feeling seats. Again, it feels more like a Lexus seat. The material choice and the leathers look really good. They put it in the right place where it's not a doldrum of just bland black plastics. It does break up it with a lot of high contrast material, some piano black, but mostly in areas that are inoffensive. The back seat space is great. It really is comfortable. You're going to fit 4 adults in here very adequately, and nobody's going to complain about it. The audio system is JBL, and like most Toyota JBL systems, it's bass elevated. It doesn't test exceptionally, but this cabin is very solid and quiet. And that's one of the things you're going to take away from this. It's almost near perfect usability in terms of physical controls and refinement. We're going to go in the shop and talk about this generation Toyota hybrid system, and then take this for a drive. Underneath the Crown Signia, I'm not going to rehash all the technical information here. I'm going to give you the bullet points. This platform, TNGA-K, is split across so many different models in their lineup, from Lexus EX and RX to Crown Sedan to Camry to RAV4. They're able to take that architecture, scale it out to make a whole bunch of different vehicles. And for this generation, they made some updates to the body structure that focus on NVH reduction, which is noise, vibration, harshness. They wanted to have a quieter experience inside the cabin. They're using more body sealers to make sure those air gaps are all filled as much as possible. They're trying to reduce the structure-borne noise and air noise. And they've done that on the interior by using acoustic laminated glass for the airborne part and more vibration isolators for certain frequencies, which helps some of the structure and airborne noise. There's isolators in the suspension and isolators in the dashboard. Now, specifically, we don't know what the body stiffness and how they've improved that, because Toyota as a brand does a horrible job of talking about what they're doing to their products. When you get into a Japanese car, Japanese developed and engineered car in the United States, we know nothing. What I will tell you is this is hybrid only, much like the Crown Sedan, but they don't give you the Hybrid Max. So this is the standard 2.5 liter naturally aspirated engine, dual injection, with a hybrid system attached to it, 4th generation, it's the previous generation, with an on-demand all-wheel drive system that is an electric motor in the back, so there's no drive shaft. So they've made some calibration differences in 4th generation, and they've made some bigger improvements in 5th. So you might wonder why this didn't get the latest version when it came out the same time as the Camry. Well, this was being developed before the new Camry, so it didn't make it into production in time to include the new system. So there's some pros and cons to this, mostly cons. You get the same nickel metal hydride pack under the rear seat. The 12-volt battery is in the trunk in this car. Why you would buy this, much like I said, the Lexus ES of this generation, is you plan to take it to the grave. This combines all the aspects of what Toyota did in their previous generations, all the tried and true things that work great. Basically, every single part of the suspension is stamped steel or thereabout. You do have aluminum knuckles, so if you had to replace ball joints and all those things, you just replace the knuckle, but everything else is steel. It's very easy to get to everything underneath. This isn't completely covered up. So it's that best blend of getting a really quiet car and refined car with the manufacturing improvements to reduce noise and all that cabin noise, reduce some of the vibration under the engine with more acoustic coverings, and then all the other tweaks that they've made. So for me, just looking at this as a whole, driving it and knowing everything about it that I possibly know, if you want a Japanese Toyota that's not made in high volume but shares almost every single part with the other vehicles, and you want to keep this forever despite its price, this is something you're going to really appreciate. But I'm going to take you through a quick drive and explain a bit more. The Crown SUV, while very, very similar to the Crown sedan, I'm going to walk you through some of the fundamental differences and maybe why you choose that. First, let's launch it in sport. Power is adequate. It's essentially like most Toyota hybrid systems of this era, 4th and 5th gen. It is incredibly smooth. You would never know really that the hybrid system's working in the background to create just less drama. It's trying to rely on the electric motor generator as much as possible to deliver that low-end torque, so you're not winding the piss out of the engine unless your foot to the floor, which around town just drives great benefits. This on average is getting about 34 miles to the gallon lifetime. Again, this is heavily dependent on how you drive and in what condition and temperature, but really you're going to be in the 30s, probably mid 30s realistically. This is not a vehicle that's designed to be sporty at all. It is clear in its focus to be refined, smooth, almost entry-level luxury car-like. It's a great blend between what you expect from Camry, the Lexus ES or RX, and I would say that this Crown, much like the sedan, is more ES in its drivability in terms of its damper tech, the way that it's got good road isolation. It's more quiet here. Again, it's one of the more quiet Toyotas, more refined, and it is vastly more comfortable than what we've been used to. Now, you're going to wonder kind of how does it drive compared to the new Camry, because that's really on the latest generation hybrid system, and a lot of the body structure changes that are in that car are also in this Crown. Would I say you notice it? Well, there's a few things maybe why you would choose the Camry over this. And a lot of that has to do with just flatness. This car has kind of that off-center dead zone. It takes a little bit of ramp in the steering wheel to get it to turn in, and once it does, you get to a certain angle, it does turn in quite well, but it doesn't have the flatness, and granted, this is more of an SUV, it's higher up, and the brake pedal calibration is much different here than it is in the Camry. The Camry feels more natural, whereas this, of course, typical Toyota pedal, it's very, very soft. You have to get into it quite a bit. So, you know, some of the driving inputs are not the greatest here, but what it does exceptionally well is just isolates you from everything. I mean, it is so quiet in here. Any of the slightest squeaks or rattles are apparent on bad roads, which this car has very minimal any types of vibrations from it. You can tell the stiffness and assembly and fit and finish in this car is really, really good. My favorite part, really, when you talk, you know, the hybrid system's been beat to death. It's the same in almost every single car. The thing that I really love is how the visibility is way better in here compared to the Crown sedan. I mean, you can see out of this. It doesn't feel like a doldrum with the panoramic roof. If you option that, there's a lot of just open and airy feeling in it, and it is so calming and relaxing to drive. It's probably one of the best setup Toyotas in terms of ride quality. Ride quality and not being a boat, but ride quality and feeling a little bit nimble, but mostly like a living room experience. You know, if that's what you value in your drive, and that refinement and decent fuel efficiency, I think you're really, really gonna like this. I think, to me, driving it, I'd prefer this over the RX or current generation Lexus NX. Just all of the things I talked about in the interior, it matches most of the driving character out of those vehicles. It still looks good, and the interior visibility outward, you're not kind of like, you don't have to lean on the Toyota safety system as much. And while the Toyota Safety Suite is definitely better in this generation, it still tends to get just annoying. I have to turn off the driver attention alert through the eye tracking here because it's constantly, especially with sunglasses and squinty eyes like me, it's always beeping about something. But if the safety system is important to you, it does work quite well here. But I'm going to take this into the final thoughts. Thanks for watching this drive segment. The conclusion. You probably already know what I'm going to say, but this is one of the least confusing vehicles I've driven in modern history, and I think Toyota as a brand knows exactly who this is for. It's for someone that wants a Toyota product that was designed and manufactured in Japan. It's for someone that is not going to lease a vehicle and throw it away in 2 years, or does not want 60% depreciation or value loss in 3 years like many luxury products. And you don't have to make as many excuses for this as a Toyota product like many of those in the past, where they were very kind of tin canny, very basic. This combines all the best things they've done in their luxury products. It rides properly. It is very quiet and refined. Given the architecture that it's on, this front-wheel drive platform has been completely revolutionized in terms of all of the luxury quality things that most people want, without an assload of technology that is overbearing. The tech works here very well without being in your face, and it goes in the background. The usability. I studied in the interior. You want to see a textbook way of doing an interior layout that has all the physical stuff you need in the areas you need it while not looking hyper generic. That's this. It has just enough nice materials. The seating surfaces and seats are way better than most Toyota products. And, you know, while it does dynamically drive the same as most of their front-wheel drive cars, that's the big ding on it. It just doesn't drive great. I mean, while it rides good, it's quiet, it feels like a front-wheel drive vehicle, and the rear electric motor in the back is purely there as a traction aid. You know, if I had a complaint there, the audio system is very average and bass heavy. I wish they had a real, true, good audio system, but again, what do you want for like $45,000, which is shockingly high in this? It seems high, but this car delivers, and it's a car you're going to keep. I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next video.